Hey, so we have been talking some about anxiety, the record amount of heightened anxiety people are feeling, particularly now with lockdown and with all of the social and political stuff going on and all the upheaval and uncertainty in our lives. And so one of the key elements to being able to cope with anxiety and reduce anxiety is to be compassionate to yourself when you're having struggles and when you're having anxiety. It doesn't do any good to berate yourself when you're having a hard time. And some of us have been falsely programmed to have very critical inner voices and very self-defeating and even self-loathing types of thoughts about how things should be and how we feel when they're not that way. And what this comes down to, I like to do this exercise that has to do with wanted and unwanted identities, or ideal and unwanted identities. And so your ideal identity is something that you've set up in your mind of how you would like to be, how you would like to be perceived. And it's usually something that's really out of reach, something that's beyond maybe even human capacity. It can be, and we all look to heroes, right? Like heroes can be a source of inspiration. But say for me, like I would love to be seen like the Dalai Lama or someone who's very wise. And that means that anytime I behave in such a way that the Dalai Lama would not behave, then I feel bad about myself. And then I berate myself, and maybe that inner critic comes in because I've fallen short of the expectation I've set for myself. And so one exercise to do at this moment is to pause the video and take a couple of minutes to write down your 3 ideal identities of how you'd like to be perceived. And maybe you're an athlete and you want to be as good as Michael Jordan. I'm not athletic, so I'm going here with people I've heard of. And so anytime you go to play basketball, then you're not as good as Michael Jordan, then you feel like you're not a good basketball player. So just pause the video and write down your 3 ideal identities of how you would like to be perceived. And these can be qualities too, like you want to be the nicest person in the world, or the smartest, or the wealthiest, right? Like these are in an ideal world who you would like to be. And then return momentarily. Now we're back and we're talking about getting real with yourself and what is your unwanted identities, like when the things that you do not ever want to be seen as. For me, I had written down an airhead or a flake. I don't want to be perceived as selfish or messy or difficult. And so anytime something conjures up those unwanted identities for me, it triggers me and it makes me feel anxious and it makes me feel angry and frustrated and staying like I need to stay small. And so take a moment and pause and jot down 3 unwanted identities, 3 ways that you do not want to be perceived, and then turn the video back on. Welcome back. So when you look at your lists, I want you to pause and really look at your unwanted identities. Why are these identities so unwanted? What comes with believing these unwanted identities are representative of you? What does that bring up? And then where did that message come from? How did that identity get created for you? Like those perceptions of what's ideal and what's totally unwanted. Where did those originate from? Because you're born, right? And you were just a tabula rasa, you were just a blank slate, and people started writing on your canvas of and creating this idea for you and people you looked up to, maybe, or the way that you were raised, or the way that you were rewarded. Something led you to believe that this is the best way to be, the right way, and this is the wrong way. And you carry around those expectations. And anytime you fall short of being ideal or are seen as the unwanted, then you're cast into a really negative place and perception of yourself. And in order to create a self-loving, self-compassionate, self-trusting relationship with yourself, you have to kind of get nitty-gritty, like, where did that come from, and is that even true or reasonable, and why do I believe the things I do? And it's important to realize in the end, and this is where like Carl Jung comes in with the idea of the shadow self or dualism, like that we have light and dark within us all the time, right? Like nobody is all good and nobody is all bad. And anytime we hear stories of a fallen hero, we think, oh my gosh, I thought they were this person, and now you hear some strike against them and you think, oh, I guess they're not perfect, or now I don't look up to them anymore. When the reality is that everybody is complex and everybody has good and ideal and unwanted qualities within them. And it's really important that we don't break ourselves into or keep ourselves confined to this notion of one truth, because many things can be true at once. And the better understanding that you have of yourself and what's true for you, desired or undesired, is still a really good way to reach understanding and be able to say, yeah, I know that's true for me. I need to work on that. That's not healthy. That's not serving me. That came from long ago. It's not true for me. That doesn't work for me in this situation, or I'm willing to let go of that. I'm ready. So we're trying to cultivate a kind inner voice for you, because that is going to be your greatest asset going forward. In case you haven't tuned in, I do have a YouTube channel now, and all my videos are available on there, so check them out. Visit them anytime. Thanks for watching.